Hello, everyone. I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's close over there.
Hello.
And this is our latest review of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book. This time looking at issue 63.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a bit of a rough go with this comic for a little bit, honestly. I'm sure as anyone who's been following our reviews could tell, we have not been the happiest of campers about the latest developments of the comic, even as there have been writer changeovers and stuff.
Yeah, no, we were much happier campers when we were doing the story about a happy campers.
Yeah. In the comic, that was before we were reviewing these, but yeah, um,
Yeah. But we were happy at the time,
we
I
were
say.
happy. You'll have to check our word for it, but here we are with a new issue, and honestly, I feel better about this issue than I've felt about a lot of the issues lately. So that's a good sign.
So get a bit of background actually for where we've been since our last review of this comic.
Yeah,
We were not looking forward to this issue.
we weren't. No.
Um, and to the point where we decided that we would actually look at one of the preview pages just to give us some sense of what the hell we were in for. And
Yeah.
thankfully, page one is good.
Yeah.
So we actually got to look forward to this comic leading up to it,
Mm-hmm.
of all things.
Imagine that. But yeah. There was also some talk of like, if this issue doesn't do good, we're just gonna, drop it. And
Yeah.
our readership survives another issue, I guess.
Hmm.
So, want to look at this cover?
Yeah, so first thing you'll notice about this cover is probably that it is atypical.
Yes.
Also, I should mention, I have a minor mouth pain issue, which I'm trying to talk around, but if my talking is a little harder to understand than normal, and I already know it's impossible to understand me, that's why. I don't apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, the logo is on its side and going down the entire right half
Yes.
of the comic, and with like graffiti sprayed onto a brick wall, with the left half being I think almost every relevant character, just one missing in the two stories in the comic, because there's actually two stories in the comic,
Yeah.
all on a fire escape.
Mm-hmm. We have now read the comic past this cover, and fire escapes don't come up.
No, I'm not really sure what they're going for here, especially with this being like the primary cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has all the characters on it, but it just doesn't feel like a very visually inspired design, especially for the fact that they are doing an atypical, like, cover design for it, that
Yeah.
it just feels really bland, in my opinion, to just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I guess waste that on a bunch of characters on a fire escape mostly unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lanolin, Tangle, and Blaze are all reacting to each other. Sonic's just falling off. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
Silver might be looking at Whisper or Tangle's tail. It's unclear. And Whisper's just doing her own thing.
Yeah.
There's really very little relation. And also, I'm just gonna say, comic covers are not very wide.
Yes.
Cutting this image down to only using half of the horizontal space leaves you very little room.
Mm-hmm.
With how tiny the characters are, that's even less room. And nobody's on the same plane as each other. Nobody's directly reacting to one another. I mean, some people I just don't think it's good. Like,
It's not
the
very
premise is just very dull, and the execution doesn't, like, save it or anything like that.
It's very hijinks by numbers.
Mm-hmm. Which, we've had that before in this comic.
Yeah. But speaking of
But
this
yeah.
comic,
Yeah, I did want to talk about the cover just kind of because it is this weird anomaly of being really different and odd, but for no real reason, in my opinion.
hmm
Um, but of course, our visuals this edition are also different and odd. As we move on to the credits, which are for the first time ever screenshotted from the comic and put on screen because there are a lot of names.
I didn't want to bother fitting it all in the format we've been doing so far, and this seemed like it would be easier.
Yeah, if it was just the first story, it would actually be less names than normal. Um,
Yeah, and wouldn't that have been nice if it was just the first story? Uh,
so, I mean,
Another
we say
thing,
that even as I think Speed Sightseeing is one of Ian Flynn's better works as of late. But
ugh. Yeah. So
but you,
we get story titles here in the credits.
yeah. So here it is for I think the first time in this comic's life, they're actually saying what the title of a storyline is, or a one-shot story is, in the comic.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, can we just keep this when we go back to one story, just so that it's clear to me when I read a comic what the story title is, rather than, like, having to go onto social media and find the writer's Tumblr or the editor's Twitter so that I can figure out what the title of a story is?
Yeah.
And then we can say, I guess it's this in like the second issue of that storyline, because it takes us that long to figure out what the title is.
Yeah. It's really tedious, especially since I don't really enjoy the social medias of anyone who works on here on this comic. So I'd rather just limit my exposure to them. So if I could just know the titles without having to look at them and they're needlessly weighing in on whatever bullshit fan bases are doing, that'd be great for me. But our first story is Misadventures Part 1 with story and art by Evan Stanley and colors by Valentina Pinto. And you think you want to just like dive into the story here and then
Let's go through
Alright.
all the credits first, because the second is called Speed Sightseeing. It is a one-shot. Story by Ian Flynn, pencils by Aaron Hammerstrom. Oh, my eyes are messing up, sorry.
Inks by Rick Mack. I can finish it. Colors
Yeah.
by Reggie Graham. I would say as far as we know, but there actually has been a development there that I did mean to bring up. So
Yes,
let's just
and
talk
since
about
Reggie
that.
Graham is here,
Yeah,
let's talk about
let's
it.
talk about it because Reggie's here. So
Yeah.
so a little bit ago, or multiple times, there's been this
Yeah.
issue where the comic had additional colors that were not done by the regular color artist.
Yeah.
It was in fact done by Jonathan Dobbs, who
Mm-hmm.
goes by Ink Pants or Ink underscore Pants. I don't know. On the social medias, and but it didn't get credited in the comic itself.
Yeah.
This was a sticking point for us because that is a moral right that creators
Mm-hmm.
have, is being credited
Yeah.
in their
The
comic book.
the right to attribution.
Yes. And the comic had been very brazenly flouting that, and unfortunately, since the lifelong fan who got to work on the comic was a little worm, they were just too busy doing cartwheels to care about their moral rights being violated. But very recently, there was a comic that Jonathan Dobbs once again provided additional colors on, and it just so happened that and this is just how like really blasé, casual, whatever you want to call it, like that this information gets out, but like it just so happened that Tracy Yardley responded, glad to see they're crediting the color assists, which I'm also glad about. It's good when people get credit when they do work.
Yeah.
And Reggie Graham replied to Tracy Yardley, and this is how we know this. Nothing else happened. Nothing was mentioned in the comic. No apologies or anything. It just, Reggie Graham states, apparently, all we had to do was ask. I'll be making sure to do it from now on, he says, with an exclamation point at the end.
Yeah, and to be clear, the comic in question is, I believe, a My Little Pony comic.
Yes.
So, this issue didn't get resolved in the comic that we brought it up in.
No, it got resolved here.
Hopefully, now that it's been resolved in the land of magical friendship, that Sonic the Hedgehog will not have uncredited coloring work in the future.
At least when it's uncredited color assists, or when it's color assists for Reggie Graham, because Matt Herms also got color assists from Jonathan Dobbs and also did not credit Jonathan Dobbs.
Well, we can hope.
We can hope, but so that tells us. I just want to put a fine point on that here.
Because it is something we've been talking about. It was a sticking point for us, so
that tells us
we won't have to talk about it again.
That tells us that IDW Publishing, the publisher of this comic, unfortunately, is perfectly fine with crediting a color artist, that being Reggie Graham, with work that he didn't do.
Yeah.
Reggie didn't do Jonathan Dobbs' work. Jonathan Dobbs did Jonathan Dobbs' work. And but when a comic says color by Reggie Graham, that's saying no one else did it. That was Reggie doing it. So there we go.
When the comics have to bring in multiple artists, number one, you can see it, but number two, you get a longer credit space because they had to bring in multiple artists. If a color artist needs to bring in an assist, that should just mean a longer credit space.
Yeah.
And in the long history of comics, I am used to seeing comics that have a lot of names, including names for the same role because they needed to bring in more people for whichever reason. Mm-hmm. There are lots of reasons that you can have to bring in multiple people.
Yeah.
Too many to count, but you credit them. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Are we satisfactorily wrapped up there?
Yeah, let's continue with the credits here.
Yeah. On to the production credits. Letters are still by Son Lee, just we all get to know that he doesn't have dental coverage. Mm-hmm. Riley Farmer is seemingly no longer on the book, or at least not on this issue.
Yeah.
As now David Marriott is the sole editor. And there's a brand new credit with a brand new person. Production by Joanna Natalie, I assume is how to pronounce that. We've never seen her before. She was a surprise when we opened up the comic today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what her role means.
We speculate that there's been lots of issues with the comic on the production side, so maybe she's coming in to fix that?
I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see if the comic stops getting delayed any time soon. I don't have high hopes for that. Not this comic. Mm-hmm. If Sonic the Hedgehog is the fastest thing alive, then Sonic the Hedgehog by IDW Publish must be the slowest thing alive.
It's very good.
That's a little of a Flash reference.
Very good.
But yeah, in terms of production, I assume she's going to be taking some duties off of David Marriott, the editor, because I believe usually the editor will be handling just the production side of things. So I don't know. IDW did recently do a big corporate restructure because of things, and the nepotism happened. So
yeah,
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the company will explode and the comic will be canceled or transferred to a more competent publisher. I'd like the second one.
I like the second one. Yeah, they'd find some fucking way if the comic exploded. They'd find some fucking way to say, oh, why did Ken Penders cancel IW's Sonic? I just fucking know it. But
Sonic fans for you.
Yeah. Here we have the story so far page afterward.
Yeah, it covers last issue, and it covers the previous annual, specifically the story that had Blaze in it. And then there's this one other panel.
Yeah.
Right,
That was
that was
also
also from the annual.
yeah.
That was from the Silver and Espio story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Even more Victorious Garden.
yeah, Victory Garden 2, Victory Harder. There was fun potato stuff in there.
Yeah.
I believe we've covered everything that's in the story so far, Paige, so we're all aware of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just basically introducing us both to the premise that Duo exists, the fact that Silver is here, and the idea that Blaze is on a vacation.
Mm-hmm. But, like, is it a working vacation? I don't know. We'll figure it out in the story.
One day we'll learn.
The cast page also has a new addition with Duo the Cat, which the comic very condescendingly describes as a two-face traitor? Question mark at the end?
Also, I want to point out that it's not two-faced traitor, it's two-faced traitor.
He betrayed Harvey Dent.
He's not, he's not fucking Harvey Dent. He's not Two-Face from the Batman comic books.
He's not fucking Harvey Dent either.
Yeah, like, if you're saying that someone is two-faced, then you say two-faced.
Mm-hmm.
With a D. It sounds like a T when I'm saying it, but that's because I'm putting emphasis on it. It's hard to put emphasis on a D sound at the end of a S sound.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, the cast page
is still bad, and it's still made of art that doesn't match, like line thickness, color, like tone, like.
I love the IDW style.
I mean, it's weird that this is the beginning of every issue, and people still think there's an IDW style.
I think they conflate how like the coloring generally looks similar from comic to comic. Like Randy definitely doesn't look like Matt Herms, but like.
I mean, you just. That's because they follow a basic style guide, Yeah. They draw it to look recognizably like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
If the IDW style is anything, it's drawing mostly on model.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the times when it's really not and it looks bad, but
Yeah. But that brings us to the first page, which is the page we read that led us to be excited about the comic.
Yeah, I'm glad we read the first page and not the second, because the second page is bad, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
The comic opens up on Belle, looking at Whisper's Wispin and giving it a clean bill of health.
God, I missed Belle. We talked about this after reading this preview page, but like, it's been since 54 that we've seen Belle, I think.
Mm-hmm. And it's been since 54 that we were having an unambiguously good time with the comic.
Yeah, after Belle left and we got 55, it was like there were some redeeming qualities, but it was not great. And then 56 happened, and there were even fewer redeeming qualities, if there was any to speak of, and it wasn't good. And then Urban Warfare happened, and it was garbage.
It's just garbage. There was also a miniseries that occurred, which was also bad. We didn't even finish reviewing it.
Yeah, less said about that one, the better. But
I hope there's less said about it.
but yeah, clean bill of health. Whisper's happy about it, and Belle is just nerding out here.
Yeah, she's really interested in getting her hands on the Wispin again, and there's a fun little moment where she's like, "There's a lot more I could learn if you're willing to let me keep tinkering with it." And then Tangle interrupts, saying, "You just fixed it. Now you want to take it apart again?"
And Belle, somewhat ominously, says, "Okay, it's safe for now."
It's very good.
Yeah.
It definitely reminds me of the tiny little mischievous streaks he has from "I'll take apart your bicycle."
Yes.
Also,
that's very good.
Present in this scene is a character we have not seen since 59. It's Moto Buddy, or Moto Bud, as he said in the comic. I will always say Buddy.
49, right?
49. Yes, 49.
It keeps tripping us up that there was an issue 50. But
I cannot keep straight for some reason any of the numbers, but yeah, since 49 when Bell had to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
break Moto Buddy, and he is still inactive. He's on a crate,
Yeah.
rolled over, and we can only assume that Bell has been trying to fix him, but so far unsuccessfully.
Little bit of quiet heartbreak for any eagle-eyed viewers.
Yeah, and I imagine that the next time, maybe not the next time Bell is like a big player, but like probably pretty soon, maybe in a future annual story, who knows, we will probably get more on Bell and Moto Buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, the unnamed mechanic boss man, who should probably get a name if he's like a relevant figure in the restoration. Damn it, I forgot.
Orangutan.
No, I was gonna do a joke where I called the restoration the Rebel Alliance.
Oh.
But yeah, he is an orangutan, I think.
He's the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
We're all in the Rebel Alliance together.
Yeah. Anyway, he shows up and wants gaskets. And Bell panics because he didn't realize that those were needed today, and apologizes to everyone because he's got a bit of panicking to do.
And Fonzie the orangutan just kind of strides off with like some musical notes hovering over his head. If you zoom in on the phone app, because you can't zoom in the desktop. Really.
I can panel by panel. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's less.
To see anyway.
It's less wide than the
Yeah.
page of the comic, so the terrible Kindle app will let me zoom in on it
Yes.
specifically.
But
Yeah, he's a very lackadaisical guy for someone who causes other people a lot of concern. What a boss.
mm-hmm. What a boss who looks about the same size as Whisper and Tangle in this panel. Scale.
Must be perspective.
Yeah.
But, Tangle and Whisper take off, with Tangle mentioning that Lanelin has them on a new training schedule.
In bold.
Yeah, and it says, trying to blow anything up this time.
And then we all say goodbye to Belle for the whole issue.
Yep,
Bye,
that was
Belle.
Belle's time.
Bye, Belle. I miss you.
In the next page,
we get the closest thing that will ever come to Silver and Whisper kissing.
I was going to say we get a smooth rejection to all Silver and Whisper sippers, as Whisper headbutts Silver and knocks him to the ground, causing him pain but none to her.
Yes.
So it does feel deliberate on her part. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Very good. Very good.
They bump into each other. And then we have this page, which I mentioned is bad.
It is pretty bad.
It's definitely just here for like setup, and it feels it because it's very Rust. Silver is zoning out for vague reasons.
Do you remember the annual story? You remember the 2022 annual? Good times, man.
Yeah, so his full line is,